Hi everybody, Jo here again from the design team. Thanks so much for popping in. Lovely to have your company. So come on in, pull up your chair, let's plump up the cushions. Now today I want to make an unusual design. Really, it's focusing on our new Greyboard numbers. And what it is last week I had a significant birthday, we'll put it like that, a special birthday. And I had a lot of cards with either my age or, and you're really not supposed to know a lady's age, are you? Tut tut. Or the year that I was born. And it got me thinking, and I thought, how often do we, and I'm sure you're the same as me, I have a friend who it's their birthday and, you know, it might be that they're not actually into, say, florals. As you know, I'm a bit of a floral meadow sort of girl. Or it might be that they're not into the type of cards I normally make. And sometimes I do find... sometimes teenagers, or anyway, certain cards are more tricky than others. We'll leave it there before I get myself in all sorts of trouble. So often, just to pop the year on a card, I think we could make a stunning design around the year. So what I've done is I've popped out, so these are the fabulous numbers, and it's Greyboard, and quite a few have been asking what Greyboard is, and it's a composite. It's sort of a bit like thick cardboard, really. It's fabulous stuff. It's lightweight, so great to add to cards. Make your own embellishments, but I do think the numbers, I've got to be honest, the numbers are so useful, especially, as I say, for those, for me, difficult cards to make. So I've popped the numbers out, and I'm going to make a background. So I'm going to put the numbers to one side because I've already coloured mine, and as they're drying I will show you how I've coloured them. Now somewhere I've got a piece of card, here we go. And I'm going to use, it's a 5.5 inch square multifarious, and it's going on a 6x6 card blank. And I'm going to do a bit of an ombre in sort of blues. So I'm going to use my oxides, and I'm starting with shaded lilac. And then I'm going to blend into Stormy Sky. Well, that's the plan. Then into Mermaid Lagoon. And finally into Prize Ribbon. So for me, I find it easier. I just pop them. Now, you probably won't be able to get all of them in shot. And I've got sort of a, dare I say, a little blender for each one. And I always pop the blenders in the lids. And as usual, you know, I have just no space whatsoever here. And I'm going to start off, just get my trusty bit of kitchen towel, which has probably seen better days. Now, I'm going to start off with the lightest colour. Now, you could do this with just 3 colours, but I wanted to bring in a little bit of a purpley tone. But I mean, an ombre, you could just have your 3 blues, your light, your medium and your dark. But I just wanted to bring in a bit of the shaded lilac at the top. It's nice to have a bit of a challenge. And again, I'm just putting my smoothie and dabbing a bit off on the lid. And then I'm coming in with my next colour. And just blending it across, always from the outside in. If you're somebody who gets marks, don't ever go in the middle. You just find it easier if you come in from the edges. Now I'm just going to go over the shaded lilac a bit, over that blend. And then I'll come back in with that blender. I've not added any more ink, and just blend. And again, the colours just go beautifully together. So we'll come in from the base now. So it's the deep colour. Again, take some off on the lid. Well, the Prize Ribbon's quite a deep blue. Now again, any of the blues will be fine. Whatever colours. This looks lovely. I mean, ombres of green are fabulous. If you know the sort of colours, I mean, I've got to be honest. You know, if it was me, I'd be going my usual yellow, orange and red. But I thought, no, let's add some blue. And then I'm going to come in with my third colour here, again from the side. Now, as you can see, this has got quite sort of turquoisey tones. And again, I'm just going to turn this around just because it's easier for me. Side and then in. Right, so we'll work on this blend first. And again, it's a bit of muscle work. Just going to turn this way. want to add a bit of a deeper colour here. Right, so now just work on this area here where the two blend. And then turn it round. And again, for me, I just find it easier turning my work. You know, I always say this, it's about how it's easy for you. If you have a certain way that you like to blend, by all means do that. I just explain the way I do it. If you don't find it helpful, you know, knock the sound off and mute me. I don't mind at all. I often say Carl wishes he could mute me. When I was little, my nickname was Chatterbox, and I think I might know why. Poor Lisa, when we do the shows, she comes with me, and sometimes we're in the car for a couple of hours on our way there, and especially when I'm nervous, I do talk a lot. Bless her. I'm sure her ears must be bleeding by the time we get there.
I don't know that.
Oh, the lady who should remain nameless has just decided to chip in, and we didn't even ask her anything. There we go. So what I've done while I was chatting, I just like to come over with my lighter colour, and I go over the whole. I always find that just tends to blend the work beautifully. So that's a little tip. If you struggle with your blending, just come in over the top with that lightest colour. Now, important for me, I always put my lids on straight away. Again, nice tidy house. And let's just clean this up. Again, nice tidy house. Keep my craft mat as clean as I can. I do keep getting marks on it, but I do keep trying to clean it, because I know you'll message me, won't you, and tell me my craft mat isn't clean. And what I thought I'd do, just because we want a nice general background, is we'd do a little bit of the ghosting with the stencil. Now, I could pop the stencil on if I wanted and add some ink through, but I fancy a bit of the watercolour ghosting. And this stencil is dynamic. And again, one of my faves. So I'm just going to wet the back of my stencil. I'm going to spritz it. Now, sorry, Eric, although he does love a bit of a shower. I've spritzed that about 4 times. Now, with this, it isn't an exact science. So depending on how much you spritz will depend on how much of the pattern you get. And I've got to be honest, it's just trial and error. You sort of get a feel for it the more you do it. So if you don't spritz enough and there's not enough pattern comes through, you can always add some more or leave it as a faint pattern. If you spritz too much, and you'll see the water coming through, almost lesson learned. I mean, it might look nice like that. You might like that. But sometimes I think it's nice to do something that isn't almost an exact science. Now, I get a bit impatient, I must admit. So when I've patted it a bit, I like to have a bit of a nosy how we're going on, and look, can you see we've definitely got something happening there. And often it shows up better on the darker colour. So yeah, that's looking, I'm pretty happy with that. And the dark colours will show up the ghosting more. And also as it dries, it will show up more. So you just sip your tea, chat amongst yourselves. Now I'll take that off. Oh, lovely. I'm just going to put it to one side to dry a little bit more while I just clean. There's only a little bit left on my stencil, but I don't like to put anything away if it's not clean. And I'm trying to get in the habit of patting my stencils. Otherwise, sometimes you can catch those little bits that stick up. And even if you think there aren't bits that stick up, if you rub it, you may find that there are. And I don't want to, I love my stencils, so I don't want to spoil them at all. Right, so that's going back in here. Again, tidy mind. Now let's bring this back. It's had a couple of minutes, and look at that. I just love it. You know, I do this so many times, and I've got to be honest, I still love it every time. Now I'm just going to pop the heat tool on it. Now at home, my suggestion would be let it dry naturally. I mean, I've got to be honest, I could do this all day long. You know, if your mojo's gone, and quite a few of you get in touch, and especially if you're not feeling well or you've had some bad news, or, I mean, I've had a bad couple of weeks, and, you know, it happens to all of us. We just get a bit, bleh. Blending some ink and just putting that water and doing the ghosting with the stencil, do you know what? It can just make you so happy, or at least cheer you up a bit, even if it's just for a couple of minutes. And I think we all need that, don't we? Right, there we go. And again, heat from the back keeps it nice and flat. But look at that. I love that. Sorry if I've gone on a bit much, but I genuinely do. I really love that. So what we're going to do next is, because this is a birthday card, we're just going to stamp. And I don't want to overcook it. And I've got, from the Heartfelt Verses, birthday wishes. And I'm going to come in with Warm Breeze in the VersaFine Clair. And I'm just going to stamp just first, second, third generation. And I'm actually going to start from this corner now. Now, you would wait for your card to almost cool down a little bit more, because it will be flatter and easier. But I'm just doing it. And I'm hoping these are going to meet somewhere in the middle. This is my plan anyway. One or two. No, I think just one. One in there. There we go. That was a stroke of luck, wasn't it? Just because, as I say, this is a card for somebody who you're not sure what they're into. So I'm thinking just the birthday wishes, the background, and there I've got a lovely generic background. Now, what I have done is got my numbers, and I better put them in the right way, Hunter. And again, don't look, 'cause it does give my age away. Now, I've got one already, and I've actually gone round my numbers with a black fine liner. But I thought you don't want to see me doing that, because it did take me a few minutes. But I did find the quicker I went round, the easier it was. And I've also added a couple of the little heart monitor squiggles, just because for me it was, it just meant if I went wrong, it looked part of the design. Now, I don't want to do an odd one on here, because I don't want to spoil the background, because I love that background. And I've got to be honest, I'm going to use that for another card. But if I show you, so if I was going around, when I go around the numbers, I literally just, and I found almost the quicker I did it, the easier it was. And if there was a bit where sort of it met, that's where I just added my squiggle. I found if I took it slow, it was almost quite jerky. So, but also when I stick my numbers on, I want to be able to see the black line. So I didn't sort of lean against the Greyboard. I came out a little. Now, you don't have to edge them. I just thought it would make my final numbers stand out more. I'm going to pop that there. I hope you're with me. And now I'm going to show you how I coloured my numbers. I just want to bring in a non-stick craft mat, just because I don't want to get, I'm using the lovely gilding polishes, and I don't want to get them on my mat. So if I show you these, here's one of my numbers finished. And I just want to show you how I got that. So we'll colour the 6, I think. And I'm using the gilding polisher, and this is Blue Wisteria Opal polish and Ocean Teal polish. Again, lids off. And this is my gilding polish brush. I'm just wiping it on my Inky Binky. And all I did was take my brush, and I've actually painted. And I've just sort of done a bit of a, sort of maybe 2/3 of the way down. I almost wanted the colours to blend. So then I just cleaned my brush, wiped it on my inky binky, and then came in. And with this second colour, I found for me it was better. And I don't know if you can see this. I just found if I added the colour where it was away from where the colours blended first, if that makes sense, then I added the bit where the colours blended. And I did that last. Just sort of dotted over to blend them. And then when that was dry, I've come in with some of my lovely Stardust stickles and just added that. Now, really important, before you pop your lid on, remember your night-night routine, and we'll come in with the night-night to both. Pop the lids on. So I covered my numbers this morning so that they'd be dry, so that we could do our little card now. So I'm just going to have to put these on the floor next to Mr. Eric. Who knows, he might be covered in gilding polish by the time I've finished. So if I bring in my design, and I've got my numbers here. So here's my numbers. And I think they're going to look lovely, look. But what I'm thinking is, I'm wondering if, now, this may be one of those where you're going to shout at me and go, don't do it, girl. I fancy a little bird just on here. What do you think? Now, if I make a mess of it, and you've been yelling at me, I'll say, you know, told you so. Actually, it's facing the wrong way, that one, isn't it? Right. Well, I'm going to have a go at it anyway. And you know what? If it doesn't work, all those of you that saying don't do it. So I just might get my head over, just pop in the little bird. I just wanted another little stamped. I mean, I did think of adding Pippin. You know, we've got so many little stamps that you could add to this. And again, don't forget we've got all that ink on there, the water. So do make sure it's dry before you do this. Yeah, happy with that. So, pastel pencils. And let's get the white out. So these are just the Van Gogh pastel pencils. And again, we're just going to use the white and add a little bit of highlight. Let's just give a little bit of a wing. I don't think it's quite. Oh, that's better. Just wasn't pressing on hard enough. So nervous about stamping the bird then in case it didn't work out. Right. So, should we put the numbers on? What do you think? Now, to attach the numbers, I'm just thinking I'm going to put some posca on, but what I might do is do my posca splats first, you know. That's what I was hesitating. So I know, just in case you're wondering why I was hesitating, I fancy some white posca splats. So, again, posca pen, brush, just gentle taps. And again, I'm just going along where I've done my, just across that diagonal. And then I'm just going to add a few flicks to get a couple of bigger ones. There we go. And that's the difference. Tapping gives me the small ones. The whipping sort of action gives me the larger ones. It is funny sometimes. Isn't it funny when you think and you go quiet? So we can pop the numbers on now. And I'm going to use my Distress Collage Medium. And what I'm going to do is just pop a little bit on my mat, pop the lid back on, and then, now again, you could use a brush. I'm just going to use my finger And again, this will dry clear. And I'm just going to add the numbers. And again, the beauty of the collage medium, as it dries, it sort of shrinks, it sucks back in. So if any does come out, and you can see it as it dries, it will suck back in. Now, again, I'm doing this now, but you may want to make sure that your card is nice and flat before you put your numbers on. So, and it's an instant grab, remember, so you don't really have much wiggle time, so you have to do a quick wiggle. But that's why I thought if we drew round the numbers, I think it outlines them, shows them up, but also lets me know exactly where I'm putting them. 6, yours. So good if I didn't get my 9 and 6 mixed up again, isn't it? Look, because I've done lilac at the bottom. That was a stroker look. Do I have a habit of doing things like that? Don't know about you, I just almost get carried away with what I'm doing, my enjoyment of crafting, and I almost forget the simple things like that. Oh, no, 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 don't stick there. We want you there, number 3. And then it is recommended you don't put your collage medium back in. So it was only a little bit, so that's being filed in that place in the corner where the disasters go. I'm just going to wipe my hands. So I'm going to get a 6x6 card blank and I'll glue it on when, that's better, when I'm just going to let the numbers dry, stay, and then I think that is just such a lovely idea if you don't know what to do for somebody but you know their age or the year that they were born. And again, just such a lovely generic background. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it gives you some ideas of what to do. Again, so simple, but often simple is just sometimes we need that sort of simple card design. So thanks for joining me again, and thanks for all your lovely comments. I do appreciate it. You take care, everybody. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.